when I got a call from Joe about this, I was horrified because I don't have a problem speaking for 9 minutes. I have a problem shutting up. And so that's always in Jeff Johnsgaard's snickering here and going, yeah, let's see how that goes. And so I started really wondering about what I was going to talk about for things like this. And a few things have occurred to me over the past weeks as I got into this. And I hadn't been to ILEATA for quite some time. I remember my early association with ASLET back in the days, and I remember the symbol of ASLET was the phoenix rising from the ashes. I mean, there was meaningful aspects to why that happened and what Ed Nowicki was able to, thank you Ed, what Ed Nowicki was able to pull off with that organization. And 20 years later, it divided itself against itself, and ASLET is no more. But Ed continued. Ed just saw the essential nature of what was going on with those organizations and persisted forward. And once again, the phoenix rising from the ashes became ILEATA. And shortly after it was born, I got my book out. It had mild popularity within the law enforcement community, and I saw that some of the things that we had created over the years were interesting and compelling, but what do you say after you've written a book? What do you say after you've said it all? And I really started to question relevance. Have I said it all? Is there more to say? And I fell away from ILEATA for a while. I came here, I think my last one was in Wheeling in 2007. May have been the year that I came, and still questioning, my relevance of, I don't have any real new message to come to ILEATA with, or some of the other organizations. And last year, I was sort of a last minute addition, and Harvey was just so kind, and ILEATA has been such a supportive organization that I tell you this, as long as I got gas in my tank and movement in my body and a credit card that continues to work, I won't miss another one as long as I have this, because it's just that important. And I came with Jeff and Dan, and we all sort of hunkered down in an Airbnb and just told some wonderful stories and learned some wonderful things. And I remember Jeff Johnsgaard coming to my class as just sort of a wild-eyed student years ago from the small little place in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And I'm Jeff Johnsgaard, and if you meet Jeff Johnsgaard, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because he's Jeff Johnsgaard, and he certainly is. And at the end of that, he looked at me and said, well, now what do I do? Now what? I said, what do you mean, now what do I do? I said, well, now I got to take this stuff, and I got to go back to my organization as Jeff Johnsgaard, Party of One, and try to bring that organization forward. And how do I do that? Very, very slowly. I said, if I had a matrix port in the back of your head, and I could just sort of plug something in there and go, I know all of the things there are to know about reality-based training, it would still take you 5 years to even begin to move things forward. And so I think about Sisyphus and the boulder that he continues to move up the hill, and how we all need to continue to move that boulder up the hill, horrified that it might roll back. And so what if it does? Sisyphus just sort of pops up again and starts again, right? Because he must. Because he must. And Jeff now, he said to me, I'm going to get better at Ken Murray shit than Ken Murray is. And he is. You are. You're my boy, Blue, right? I mean, it's just I see some of the things that have happened over the years, and I question relevance. Daryl was up here. Daryl, you'll know the name Maurice Clemens. Where are you? Yeah, you know the name Maurice Clemens. Yeah. And I'm horrified to speak his name, and yet I speak his name because I'd done a little bit of work with Seattle and Joe Fountain at the time, who was the guy that sort of brought us in and did a little bit of work with us. And one of the things I say is simplicity, right? Do simple things. The complexity takes care of itself. And we're failing at the basics out there. We're just failing at the basics. Law enforcement is a really simple job. When you get to the A in the OODA loop, the action, you can do 4 things. You can talk, fight, shoot, or leave. And if you come up with another one, let me know and I will change. And I'll add it and I'll name it after you, but it's really talking, fighting, shooting, and leaving. Tung fu, kung fu, gun fu, and some run fu. I don't know what it is, right? But those are the things that we can do. And so I told Joe, do simple things. I said, okay, and he did simple things. And one horrible day, 4 officers starting out their day in Lakewood, Colorado, sat down for their morning coffee, and some asshole walks in and assassinates all of them. And it's just reprehensible on all sorts of levels. And the way the world is going right now, I fear that there's more of it coming. And they didn't have a chance. They didn't have a chance. Joe had a student that had come through, and they ran a simple scenario for him. It was just some sort of car situation, and you come up and you talk to the motorist, and the motorist is going to do something. He's going to display a pistol, and this was before what happened in Blue Steel Cafe, and just deal with that situation. Someone's going to do something horrible to you, and you need to shoot them. And there's so many officers that have never had that experience. You know, how do we practice gunfighting if we don't actually gunfight? I got stopped from doing what I did in the early days. You know, we came up with this amazing technology that allowed us to do opposed force training, and I got told, no, you're not going to do that. We're not going to point guns at each other. You see those 4 safety rules there? See, we don't do that. We don't point guns at each other. So don't come back here, because we don't allow that. I thought, well, how are you going to learn how to gunfight if you're not doing gunfighting? See, number 2, you know, don't point a gun at anything you don't want to shoot, but I do want to shoot you. I just don't want to hurt you. I want to create some rules that allow us to practice and rehearse these things for our moment of greatest dread, because we don't have that Rolodex card. We come into this world as risk-averse individuals. We've got to take people that are organically risk-averse and teach them how to go out. Right now, as we're sitting here in these chairs, we got people out there that if our families are in jeopardy, they're moving towards that. And if somebody's going to do something horrible with a gun, how do we prepare them for that moment of greatest dread? And then how do we prepare them for the aftermath of that? Dr. Bill Lewinsky's sitting in the back and standing in the back, and he's been doing that for years. He was also a pioneer. He got told, no, we can't do this. And perseverance, Sisyphus pushing that boulder up the hill when he was told, no, we're not going to do that. And here he stands today, and I'm just proud to say that he's my friend, and that he is relevant. I listen to the sound of the music in the bar, and the Beatles singing different things. Are the Beatles still relevant? I'm driving down the street, and I see Rolling Stones coming to Orlando. I go, what? He's still alive, 81 years old. This year, Mick Jagger is still out there rocking. Charlie Watts ain't coming because he died when he was 80, but otherwise Charlie Watts would be here slamming away as well, and they're still doing it. They don't need the money, they don't need the fame. I'm pretty sure he's met enough hot girls in his day, Mick Jagger has, so he don't need that. But why is he still here? Because the music is still relevant. It touches us at a different level. The movie Mr. Holland's Opus, right? For those of you that saw it, you know, he was a part-time music instructor, and I'm gonna write my opus, I'm gonna write my opus, I'm gonna write my opus. And never does. He's for 30 years. And when they cancel the music program, he goes in there, he's got a box full of stuff over 30 years, and he hears a ruckus in the auditorium. And he goes in, and it's all of his students over the past 30 years. We are your opus, Mr. Holland. And they played his symphony. He took his baton, and he led that orchestra of all of his students. And it's funny because in law enforcement, Ed Nowicki took his baton and led a nation in what we are today with Alita, with all of the relevance that comes there. And when I was here a year ago, I'm walking down with Jeff and with Dan, I'm thinking, am I still relevant? We need to understand that you are all out there, some new trainers out there, and you're going, are you relevant? Daryl talked about all of this, the importance of all of this. We think if I drop a rock or two, maybe somebody will hear me. And stop counting rocks. start understanding that you have ripples. In Lakewood, Colorado, Ben Kelly showed up at a motorist call, and Maurice Clemens was standing there smiling, raising a gun because he wanted to add another body to his count. And Ben went and thought, this is exactly the way it was in that simple moment in training. And he raised his pistol and he stopped Maurice Clemens from adding one more person to his belt. And so I have a bit of a connection to that, because I wouldn't have known the relevance of the things that I started doing 4 decades ago. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of doing this. My hips are broke. Travel's a pain in the butt. But I do it not because I can, but because I must. Because if I can reach one person, I can drop one pebble and create some ripples, then we've done all that we can. And for all of you here, please drop pebbles, please make ripples, and please keep doing what you're doing, because it has never been more relevant in our history. And thank you, Joe, for the opportunity to say this, and thank you, Ailita, thank you, Harvey, for the opportunity to stand in front of you tonight. God bless.